हेलो एवरीवन। आई होप आप लोग बहुत अच्छे होंगे। तो आज हम बात करने वाले हैं बेसिक साइंस की, जिसमें हम बात करेंगे सेल्स, अबाउट सेल बायोलॉजी। तो कुछ बेसिक सी हम बात करेंगे इसमें। तो चलिए जल्दी से स्टार्ट करते हैं। सो वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट सेल बायोलॉजी. So in this, first we'll talk about what are cells. So there are thousands of cells in our body made up of small units. So we'll talk about the structure and the function of the cell. Cells are unicellular or and also multicellular in nature. यूनिसेलुलर सेल्स नाम से ही आप समझ सकते हैं, यूनी मतलब सिंगल यूनिट, सिंगल सेल, and they are like bacteria, amoeba. Multicellular is the multiple cells, like we humans, we have multiple cells in our body. So now we are going to talk about the prokaryotic and eukaryotic organisms. What are prokaryotic organisms? So they are the organisms which lack a well-defined nucleus and a cell membrane. The DNA present is circular in nature and also unorganized. Example is like bacteria, cyanobacteria, also known as blue-green algae. In eukaryotic organisms, they have a well-defined nuclear membrane which bounds the nucleus, which means nucleus is also present and a cell membrane is also present. The genetic material, it can be DNA or RNA, both can be present. मतलब at a time one is present but both. So the genetic material, they are linear and is organized in the form of chromosomes. So example of eukaryotic organisms are algae, fungi and plants. Next we'll talk about the cell organelle and its functions. In this we'll talk about the cell membranes. Cell membranes are both animal and plants. They are semi-permeable in nature. Semi-permeable matlab it allows molecules or some foreign particles, we can say, to enter inside the cell. Now, so in this we will talk about the different terms which are present inside the cell membrane. So first we are going to talk about mitochondria. So mitochondria is nothing but the powerhouse of the cell. It is supposed to have a DNA other than nucleus. ठीक. Next is lysosome. It is the suicidal bag, which means in lysosome breakdown of wastage take place, means it degrades its own content. So it or in other sense we can say it damages the cell organelle and process them through enzymes which are present in lysosomes. Golgi body, in this the lipids and the proteins, they are packed for the purpose of transportation. Next is the endoplasmic reticulum. So they are of two, rough and smooth. In rough endoplasmic reticulum, it has ribosomes and it secretes proteins, while the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, it contains lipids. ठीक है. Next we are going to talk about the cell walls. So cell walls, they are present in plants and are made up of cellulose. In fungi, chitin, and in bacteria, peptidoglycans. ठीक है. तो cell wall is found in both prokaryotic and eukaryotic organisms. Next there is a one question. Let's see. Which of the following cell organelle played a significant role in protein synthesis? So the options are: first ribosome and nucleus, second is endoplasmic reticulum and ribosome, third is Golgi apparatus and mitochondria, fourth is ribosome and mitochondria. So अभी हमने पढ़ा कि second option is the correct, endoplasmic reticulum and ribosome, they play a significant role in protein synthesis. Next we are going to talk about plastids. So what are plastids? They are the organelle containing pigments. So they are of three types: chloroplast, chromoplast and leucoplast. Chloroplast contains green pigments called as chlorophyll, which is required for the process of photosynthesis. Chloroplast and chromoplast, they are the pigments which contain plastids, while leucoplast acts as a storage organelle. ठीक है. Next, we are going to see the difference between the plant cell and the animal cell. So, in plant cell, cell walls are present. In animal cell, there is no cell wall. In plant cell, nucleus it is present at the periphery. In animal cell, nucleus is present at the center. ठीक है. In plant cell, large vacuole is present, and in animal cell, size is smaller. In plant cell, plastids are present. In animal cell, no plastids. And for the storage purpose, as a storage compound, starch is used in plant cell, and in animal cell, glycogen. Now we'll see the different classifications of plant cells. So there is Monera, Protista, fungi, and animals. Different classification. So in Monera, there are prokaryotic organisms like bacteria and cyanobacteria. In Protista, there are unicellular organisms, and they are eukaryotic in nature, like our protozoa, amoeba. ठीक है. In fungi, multicellular organisms are present. They are also eukaryotic in nature. Example is the yeast, mushroom. Now this animal cells, they are further classified. This animal kingdom is further classified into Porifera, coelenterate, Arthropoda, echinodermate, platyhelminthes, nematodes, annelids, mollusca, hemichordate, and chordate. Really sorry if there is any kind of mispronunciation. Sorry for that. So one by one we will see them. So example of Porifera is sponge. Example of coelenterata is our corals and jellyfish. Example of Arthropoda, they are again classified into three forms: arachnid, crustaceans, and insects. Arachnids are the tricks, spiders, and mites. Crustaceans are crabs. Insects are the like mosquitoes, flies, bees, etc. So spiders and crabs, they belong to the same family. There is another question that among the following organism, which one does not belong to the class of other three? So हमने ऊपर देखा है that crab, mites, spiders, they all belong to the category of Arthropoda. Scorpions does not belong to this family. Next, we are going to talk about the further examples. So they are Echinodermata, example is starfish. Platyhelminthes, example is the tapeworms, they are nothing but the flatworms. Nematodes are the roundworms, example is guinea worm and filarial worm. Annelids are the earthworms and leeches. Mollusca are the snails and octopus. Hemichordata are balanoglossus, and chordate are further classified into mammals, fish, reptiles, birds, and amphibians. Okay, so notochord is present at any stage of development in chordata. So in chordata, notochord is present at any stage of development, either at the starting or in the middle stages. ठीक है. Next, we are going to see about the plant kingdoms. So they are the Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Petridophyta, and gymnosperms and angiosperms. So Thallophyta is our algae, Bryophyta is mosses, Petridophyta is ferns. ठीक है. In which the mosses are non-vascular. Non-vascular का मतलब that the xylem and phylum is not present. ठीक है, both are used for the transportation purpose. So both are non-present in non-vascular, and fern are vascular. It means the xylem and phylum are present. Gymnosperms are the naked seeds in which the seeds are naked, and angiosperms are the monocotyledons and dicotyledons, which means there is a covering. ठीक है, in monocotyledon single covering is there, in dicotyledon double covering is there. Examples of gymnosperm is the pinus. Example of monocotyledon are the banana and sugarcane, and the example of dicotyledon are grapes and tomatoes. In angiosperms, there is flowering plant at some stages. At any of the stage, at some stage, there is a flowering plant, and the rest are the non-flowering plant. ठीक है. Next, we are going to talk about the plant habitats. So in this, we'll talk about the three: mesophytes, xerophytes, and hydrophytes. So mesophytes are the plants which grow on land and they need moderate water to grow. For example, our tulsi and rose. Xerophytes are the plants which live in a dry condition, which grow in a dry condition, and they require minimum water. Hydrophytes, they are completely in water. The plants live in water. Example are the lotus and water lily, and example of xerophytes are cactus. Okay, so this was all about the plant habitat. Next, we are going to talk about the nutrition. ठीक है, so in this it is categorized into three: autotrophic, heterotrophic, and saprotrophic. ठीक है, so in autotrophic, the organisms they prepare their own food. ना, they make their own food. Examples are the plants. ठीक, in heterotropics, the animal they take food from autotrophs, मतलब they synthesize food from some other organism. ठीक है, in saprotropics are the fungi, so they depend and live on the dead and decaying animals. They synthesize their food from the dead and decaying animals. Next, we'll talk about the parasites. So parasites, they live and feed on the other organism. They live on that organism and feed them. ठीक है, so in this parasites, we'll talk about the plants and epiphytes. So plants, they derive nutrition from another living organism. So they live nearby them and they derive nutrition from them. For example, cascata. ठीक है, plants are the partial parasite, and the examples of partial parasites are the sandalwood and mistletoe. ठीक है, epiphytes are the one which resides on the other plant, but they don't take nutrition for them. They just need a mechanical support. ठीक है, but they do not take nutrition from it. Example are the money plants. ठीक है, next there is a question that epiphytes are plants which depend on others for the purpose of, answer is for the purpose of mechanical support. They don't need any kind of nutrition from them. Next question is the cellular and molecular control of programmed cell death. ठीक है, so what does it terms? So cellular and molecular control of programmed cell death. So in this we're talking about the cell death. Cell death completely take place in apoptosis. ठीक है, it completely takes place in apoptosis. In aging, degeneration and necrosis, the complete death of cell don't take place. Next question is that consider the following statement. First is that tapeworm is a hermaphrodite. So hermaphrodite is an organism which has both male and female part. One single organism having both male and female part both. So this statement is correct. Roundworm has separate sexes. This statement is also correct. Third is that filaria is caused by a nematode. This statement is absolutely correct. Fourth is guinea worm is an annelid. This is wrong. Guinea worm is a roundworm. ठीक है. Next, we are going to talk about the virus. That what are virus? Viruses, mainly they do not have the capacity to exist on its own. ठीक है, it needs some other organism to replicate, to reproduce, to grow. जब भी वायरस किसी दूसरे ऑर्गेनिज्म में, किसी दूसरी बॉडी में एंटर करता है, देन ओनली इट गेट्स रिप्रोड्यूस, इट गेट रिप्लिकेट, ठीक है, तभी वो मल्टीप्लाई होता है, अदर देन नो. It has its own genetic material. So it has its own genetic material, either RNA or DNA, and it has its own protein. Okay, so there is another question related to virus, that viruses lack enzymes necessary for generation of energy. They lack enzymes necessary for generation of energy. So this statement is absolutely true. Second देखते हैं कि viruses can be cultured in any synthetic medium. So this statement is not true, because viruses cannot be cultured in none of the synthetic medium. In none of the synthetic medium. So this statement is wrong. Third is the viruses are transmitted from one organism to another by biological vectors only. No, it can be transmitted through both biological and mechanical vectors. So we all have heard about the vector borne diseases. Now, what are vector borne diseases? They are not the actual disease. It carries the disease causing organism. For example, our mosquitoes, ठीक है. So they are both mechanical and biological, mechanical vector and biological vector. So biological vector is the one carrying within the body, ठीक है. If a mosquito is there, it is carrying a virus within a body, so it will be biological in nature. We call it a biological vector. And if it is carrying on the body, means some organ. फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल जैसे कोई मॉस्किटो है और उसकी बॉडी पे कोई भी ऑर्गेनिज्म, कुछ भी बैक्टीरिया एंड ऑल, कुछ भी ऐसा स्टिक हो गया है, वो फिर हमारे किसी फूड आइटम पे जाके बैठ जाए और हम उसी फूड को कंज्यूम कर लें, तो इट कम्स अंडर मैकेनिकल वेक्टर. एंड इफ़ अ मॉस्किटो इज़ कैरिंग अ वायरस समथिंग विद इन इट ना, तो इट विल कम अंडर बायोलॉजिकल वेक्टर. सो आई होप आपको ये वीडियो बहुत अच्छा लगा होगा. थैंक यू सो मच.